The Harvest.
Good afternoon, Africa. This is Imene Nouad with the latest news from across the continent and the world. The Algerian iconic actress Baya Bouzar, famously known as Biouna, sadly passed away earlier this morning, while after a long fight with the lung cancer. Algerian President Abdelmadjid Tebboune offers condolences to her family, praising her decade-long contributions to television and cinema, and prays for her eternal peace. The closing ceremony of the 7th AU-EU Summit is underway in Luanda, featuring dynamic participation from civil society, youth and the private sector, with discussions on employment, innovation, social inclusion and environmental stewardship. The AU Commission Chairperson Mahmoud Ali Youssef calls for a partnership based on fairness and mutual respect, urging concrete actions to improve the lives of youth, women and citizens. Let's hear a small part of his speech.
We must build our partnership on fairness, reciprocity and mutual respect. We now stand at a decisive crossroads. The strength of our renewed partnership will be proven not by proclamations, but by action, by the concrete results that transform lives and renew hope. The legacy of this summit will be measured in the progress made for our youth, our women, our entrepreneurs, and our citizens at large. As we depart Luanda, let ambition replace hesitation and let optimism shape our pathway forward, so that the spirit of solidarity and partnership witnessed here continues to grow, leading Africa and Europe together towards a future of shared prosperity, security, and dignity.
The Algerian Minister of State in charge of Foreign Affairs and Community Abroad, Ahmed Attaf, warns that the AU-EU Summit takes place amid extreme international turmoil and tensions. Speaking on Tuesday, he highlights Africa's growing challenges, including unconstitutional changes of government and the resurgence of terrorism in the Sahel region, calling for urgent international attention to the continent's security and governance crisis. Widad Alawa with more details.
In a firm address to the international community, Algeria's Minister of State and Foreign Affairs, Ahmed Attaf, warns that terrorism, while declining in many parts of the world, has now entrenched itself in Africa, turning the Sahel into the new global hub of extremist threat. Ahmed Attaf.
The alarm bells rang for the second time due to the worsening scourge of terrorism in Africa after it had receded from the rest of the world, until the Sahel region today has become the global epicenter and the international hub of this scourge, which has spread corruption and crime across African countries amid prominent international silence.
Attaf went on to underline that foreign military interventions are only deepening Africa's crisis, arguing that they often stand in the way of legitimate, lasting solutions.
The alarm bells rang for the third time due to the spread of foreign military interventions in Africa, a phenomenon that has today become a structural factor in the African security landscape, a factor that complicates crises, prolongs their duration, and destroys the chances of resolving them.
In the light of this crucial summit, African leaders affirmed that Africa's future will not be shaped by crisis management, but by genuine investment in peace and full African inclusion in global decision-making, especially on the security level, until the continent is given its rightful seat at the international table.
The European Coordination for the Support of the Sahrawi People urges tangible process to end Morocco's illegal occupation of Western Sahara. The group plans its 49th seminar in Paris on November 28th and 29th, gathering European lawmakers to promote legislative and diplomatic measures supporting the Sahrawi right to self-determination. The United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres confirms that his personal envoy, Staffan de Mistura, will engage both parties in the Western Sahara conflict, aiming to launch serious and unconditional negotiations under Security Council guidance. The United Nations envoy Hannah Tite highlights Libyans' love for their homeland as a driving force for the national progress. Speaking in an online session, she reassured citizens that the UN works closely with them to advance the political roadmap. Yasmin Ben Ashur explains more.
In a clear message that received a lot of attention, United Nations Special Representative Hannah Tite highlights that Libyans' patriotism is strong and helps shape the country's political future. During an online meeting, she underlined witnessing some worrying posts on social media as she showed great respect for those who defend Libyans' unity and sovereignty. Titi explains that the United Nations, through the roadmap, is working with Libyans and their institutions to keep the people at the center of political decisions, and that the mission listens and learns from citizens. Hannah Tite.
And I would like to begin by saying something direct and simple. We listen, we learn from you. Your voices, your hopes, your anger, your aspirations, your love for your country shape the things that we do, and you inspire our work. I have read with concern the posts on social media channels, and I respect the patriotism of many of you. You are rightly protective of Libya's sovereignty and unity. That love for your country is not only understandable, it is powerful. And it is what will carry Libya forward, and why, through the roadmap, we are working with you, with your institutions, to ensure that the Libyan people are at the center of this process.
At the same time, the United Nations mission launches an online survey to support the structured dialogue and collect opinions from Libyans everywhere. Titi noticed that hearing voices from all parts of the country is important to understand daily challenges and build a better future.
Nigerian authorities respond to mass abductions at St. Mary's School in Niger State, where 303 students and 12 teachers are kidnapped by armed forces. Military leader meet with President Bola Tinubu in Abuja to discuss this crisis further. The presidential elections in Guinea-Bissau declare victory. The rivals declare victory as the country awaits the official results. Fernando Diaz-Camp claims success against incumbent President Omaro Sissoco Embaló, rising tensions ahead of confirmation. Algerian Prime Minister Sifi Gharieb arrives in Egypt for an official visit. His trip coincides with the 9th session of the Algerian-Egyptian High Joint Committee for Cooperation, aimed at strengthening bilateral ties. The World Health Organization reports over 20,000 suspected cases of diphtheria in Africa since the start of the year, including more than 1,200 deaths. The agency warns of high risk of further spread across the continent, whereas the WHO organization also classifies the Marburg virus outbreak in Ethiopia as a high public health risk, citing several alarming factors that could accelerate transmission. Concluding with cultural news, as Algiers prepares for the 9th International Festival of Contemporary Visual Art in Algeria, running November 29th to December 6th at Mufti Zakaria Palace of Culture. Featuring 122 artists from 34 countries, the festival adopts the theme Beyond Borders and introduces an art market linking creativity with local economic development. And that concludes Day Harvest. Thank you for paying attention to the fullest. Don't go too far and keep enjoying our programs of the day with your favorite radio channel, Ifriqiya FM.